Hello, and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast with me, Lindsay White. I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and create inspiring workplace cultures through innovative talent programs and practices. Because when people feel like they belong at work, they deliver their very best and businesses thrive. The Female Founder Friday podcast is all about connecting with the most incredible female entrepreneurs to talk about their journey to creating their own business, the mistakes they've made along the way, and how they view their own leadership. And I'm challenging all of my guests this season to take my leadership style quiz. And during each episode, we'll be digging into their leadership style and how it impacts the way they lead in their life and their business. And if you're interested in learning more about your leadership style and want some of my top tips to help you lead more effectively, you can take the quiz right now. Just check out the show notes or head over to highvoltageleadership.ca and click on the button at the top of the page that says Take the Quiz. Then you can share your results, connect with my guests, and join the conversation on Instagram by following me at High Volt Leadership. Hey friends, welcome to my birthday episode. And I'm so excited to share the conversation I had with my friend Marie Garvey with you today. Marie's amazing. She is not only the president of the Garvey Group, where she is a strategic communications consultant, media spokesperson, presentation trainer, executive coach. She is also the founder of Crazy Busy Women in Balance. And she is really focused her executive coaching around helping women create time, create connection, and really truly finding the joy in the work that we do. And she's just such a wonderful human. We have a great conversation every time we chat. And I'm really excited to share this one with you today on my birthday. Awesome. I have my new bestie, Marie, with me here today because we haven't been friends long, but we are now fast friends. And
I agree.
Yeah, I am excited. Every time we get a chance to talk, it's interesting and wonderful and beautiful and creative. And I'm actually excited to hear more about your journey to being a female founder, because I know some of it, but I don't know all of it. And I'm always excited to learn more about you.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and it's so fun. It's fun to be able to talk to you again. And I really, it's funny. I don't love talking about myself, but for you, I will.
I love it. Well, there you go. It's like an exclusive. I feel special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, I know that you're a bit of a serial entrepreneur. You've built more than one of these beautiful little businesses. And I'm always curious in these conversations about how did you get there? Like, what got you into being a female founder and has got you to today?
Well, all my friends call me the reluctant entrepreneur, because left to my own devices, I would not be here. I was a career girl. I was a corporate girl. And very early on in my career, I was working for a big corporation, entertainment company, and I got a lot of responsibility at a very young age, and was given a lot of opportunity. And it was a great job, but it was killing me. And they weren't giving me the promotion or the money that was commensurate. It was equal to the job I was doing.
Yeah.
And they were using my age as the reason why, yet I had people who were older than me reporting to me. So it was like, it was a difficult place. And ultimately it got to the place where I was somewhat, was traveling. I was actually living somewhere else and coming home to visit, because we were on this little project. And it got to the point where they hired a director underneath me, and I was a senior manager, and they wouldn't give me the director position, even though I had a director. It was weird. And I got some feedback from somebody that said, you're a woman, you're young, you're blonde, you're in communications for a living, and, you just need to wait your time, kind of thing.
Oh.
and or maybe you should switch, because jobs like that don't get a lot of money in this and that. And I said, well, wait a second, I'm a woman. I can't change that, or I'm not planning on it, at least. And I'm young, and I can't change that. And I'm very good at communications, or we wouldn't be in this situation where you're hiring people who are who have bigger titles than me. So I disagree. And I gave them like 45 days notice and said, it's time for me to move on. And I went to go look for jobs. This is a really juicy job. And I was exhausted. I had worked so much. I had money in the bank. And people started calling me. And I was just like, yeah, no, I don't really think that I want that. And then people started calling me saying, can you do this little project for me? Did one more project and one more project and one more project. And actually the company that I walked away from was my first client, and asked me to do a little project for them. And with literally, I was in my kitchen chair, kind of figuring it out. And this was a long time ago. And I refused to buy real things like a real printer or because I wasn't doing this for a living. I wasn't going to be an entrepreneur. And my dad was an entrepreneur, and I saw all the ebbs and flows of that. And I wanted steady Eddie. And then ultimately it was like, okay, when are we going to realize? And it was my dad, actually. It's like, when are you going to realize you actually have a business and you need to buy a real printer and a real chair and a real desk? At this point, I had 4 clients and I hadn't done it. And so it was almost a year in. It was like, okay, I have a business. And honestly, that journey followed me for a while because I was selling my consulting, right? My communication consulting. And then I even got employees, and it still didn't, I never took on the title founder or CEO in my head. It was like, oh, I'm just good at what I do. And I don't know why I did that. And ultimately, it led me to be burnt out again, which was at my former company. And I then went on this journey and then started this other company, which is like my baby. And I took on the mantle of, in Crazy Busy Women in Balance, I took on the mantle of CEO. I wasn't afraid of it anymore. I was proud of it. And even though I have my other company and I do, media relations and crisis communications, public affairs, I still see that as a consulting business where this feels like a business. And there's no difference, by the way. It's just my journey.
Yes. I love that, though, the different feeling. That's very interesting.
And it really got me, what I teach now is joyful success, and that you can have success and be joyful, and you don't have to lean back and you don't even have to lean in. You get to choose. And so many women aren't in choice. And now I think that I'm more comfortable with power so that I can own that CEO thing, where I was always like, I don't know, I was always playing it small, even though what I had was big. It was exhausting because it was out of congruence. I was out of integrity with myself by trying to be what I already was to the outside world, but I wouldn't own it. And now I own it and things are better.
I love, okay, so that, amazing. Like, that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I like, there's so many things there. And yeah, like owning it.
Yeah.
Owning that power position, being confident and comfortable saying, I'm a founder and a CEO. That is actually a really tricky step.
It is a really tricky step, and it doesn't need to be, but for some reason for women it is. And it was certainly my journey. I mean, I'm my first client in my other business. That's why I started it. But my sister used to always say, when I'd tell people what I did for a living, and I had this really successful business with huge brands that were working for me for 10 years. And I'm in the room with big people, and the people ask, I say, oh, I do communications for a living. And I would always downplay it. And she would just get so mad at me. Why aren't you saying? And it just felt braggy, and it didn't, and I was uncomfortable with success.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it takes a lot to really fold that in to who you are and what you do. Yeah.
And I thought people would maybe see me differently or think I was different. I just wanted to be me. And it was finally when I made peace with the two sides of me and integrated them, in the sense that, yes, I am a badass and I am successful, but I'm still Marie, and I'm goofy. And you can tell by the way I talk, I can be both, and I can be really comfortable in my own skin, because all of that is what's made me successful, and downplaying it is exhausting.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like, it's a lot of work to actually keep that small and quiet it and
Yeah.
So interesting. So I want to ask you this because this popped into my head as you were talking. Do you think some of the fear of, owning the role, owning the title, really stepping into that is that I is it some okay, so there's a couple thoughts. Is part of it um I don't deserve that, or I'm not good enough for that, or that it could all go away, right? Like,
I don't think it was any of those things. Maybe other women feel this
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
Honestly, it really was. I felt like maybe it was that I didn't deserve, I really believe it was that it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like it was a ornament I was putting on myself. And it
Right.
was like, ooh, I look at, and it wasn't how I wanted to be identified. And yet it's a really important part of my identity. And I was pushing it away because I was thinking it would overwhelm everything else, because I was in this battle for my life. You know what I mean? It was like my work and life were in a battle with each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
And I felt like the more successful I got, the more it would cost me my life. And so I
Okay.
had to tap down the success thing to everybody, even though it was. I was saying, no, 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 because I still wanted all these other things and I didn't know how to get them if I was successful. And it had nothing to do with success, which is ultimately what I figured out and why I started my other business. But it took so many years for me to realize that.
I think that is amazing. Okay, I really love like sort of the nuances in that. And you're right. I think, we all have our this is why I do the show, because we all have our own journey to becoming a female founder. We have all of our own reasons. We all have our own hangups
Yeah.
along the way. And so I love the nuance that is in that, because I think there's others out there that are likely in that space, that somehow embracing that power and that success feels awkward and strange, and like somehow something else might have to give in order for that piece to be as big as it should be.
Yeah. And I was single, and so then when people say single successful, oh, you chose your career. And
Right.
I was also childless at the time. I ended up adopting my daughter, but at the time, so it was this definition of thing somebody put on me, that they saw me as a successful single woman that was childless at a certain age, and therefore I chose my career over this. And it really wasn't the case. And I didn't want to be defined that way. I happened to be successful because I'm good at what I do and I'm a hard worker. And
Yeah.
it happened. It didn't mean I wasn't those other things too. And I think as single successful women, we do battle that.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. And then layer in, I mean, we're both blonde girls. So you
Yeah.
layer in the blonde thing,
Uh-huh.
right? Then there's those of us that are moms. And
Mhm.
so, well, you couldn't possibly be both a good mom and a good businesswoman at the same
Right.
time. Two
And
things
then
are,
it just gets more complicated. Right. I adopted a child as a
yeah.
single mom. And then it was like, well, isn't that selfish of you? And the whole thing, realized the journey I went on is like, why am I letting other people define me? Why
Yeah.
am I so worried about what other people are defining me as, when I had to know myself,
Yes.
know who I am and what my strengths and weaknesses, goodies, superpowers, weaknesses, all that stuff
Yeah.
was, so that then when somebody was defining me incorrectly, it was their problem, not mine.
Amen. Hallelujah. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And I
I,
do think women struggle with that, whether you're a mom or you're not, or you're
yeah.
single or married or divorced or whatever, all these labels and the things they put on women who are successful with those other things is very, you want, it makes some people want to play small
Yeah.
or tamp down their success. And I have a lot of women that when I was dating out there, and now I found a guy and he's wonderful. But when I was dating, a lot of my successful women also turned down what they did when they were out on dates, because they didn't want to be too intimidating or this or that. And that's BS, because you want somebody who loves you for you and thinks, go girl. Like, my boyfriend is like, you go girl,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
go.
You know what? That's absolutely key. If he's intimidated, because
not your guy.
you are killing it in business. Like, he needs to get a grip.
Yeah, he's not your guy. And so next,
Yeah.
but it's complicated to be a success. People don't talk about it a lot, but I mean, my father would call them high class problems, right? But it's complicated, the definitions and labels and assumptions people make when you are a single successful woman.
Yeah. No, I can really appreciate that. I can absolutely appreciate that. I want to talk a little bit, because you now, all of these amazing hard-earned lessons you bring into Crazy Busy Women. This is the next. This is the passion project.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I went on this journey because I was successful and single and didn't have a child, and I wanted all of a different, I wanted it all. And I was trying to figure out why I kept on getting burnt out, because the common denominator was me.
Right?
Yeah. I owned business and I still got burnt out. I blamed it on the other company, and then it was me. And so I went on this journey. I really did. And I learned everything I could about why I didn't have everything I wanted, why I was tamping down my success and talents and gifts, and, retreats and seminars and like
yes, all the things. Yeah.
Thousands of dollars. And
right?
I figured it out. And I was angry when I figured it out, because it was like, darn it, why didn't anybody teach me this at a younger age? What would my life have looked like? But my life is good. So I give that up. But when I was walking on the beach, and because I lived near the beach, and I felt so much lighter and just happier. And it was just these truly minor adjustments. I just was like, this voice came into my head that said, now you need to go teach it to other people. Mm-hmm. And it felt like a calling. And it was right before COVID started. I really tried to figure out what it looked like, what kind of business, because I already had a business. And, that was, basically keeping the roof over our head. So I didn't want to, mess with that. And I went on and I figured out online coaching, because then COVID happened. So online coaching became an obvious thing, although I was doing it in person before. And it really is a 10-week program that breaks down all the stuff I learned in a really bite-sized way to transform into becoming who you are now versus all the programming that's been put on you.
Yes.
Really understanding who you are, what your identity is, what your legacy is, and how you want to live and show up in the world, what your executive presence superpower is in the world, so that you can stand on solid footing about who you are, and then go figure out what you want, whether it's being better at the job you're doing, or you want to start a next chapter, or you want to step back and do, something, or you're not even happy at all, or you're happy, it just was costing you too much, and now it doesn't. Yes. I had one of my clients say to me the other day, she took this big VP job that she's always wanted but was afraid of, and now she's gotten it. And she says, Marie, my work didn't change, I changed, and that made all the difference.
Oh, that's
really just it was so beautiful, because her work is still busy, or crazy busy from the outside, but she's not anymore. And the thing is, so many women really are making compromises that they don't need to make, because they think they have to. And it's heartbreaking. And I believe that women need to stand in their power, be comfortable with their power and female power, because we need it in this world. And that when they do, every door opens up. And all this, like I said, I was so exhausted because I was living out of integrity with myself. I was fighting who I was and once I embraced that, everything changed and everything started to flow again. And so we teach that, and really it's quite exciting, because we teach women to dream.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, we'll ask women in the first week of our program, like, what are your dreams? And they're like, well, I want to be healthy, and I'd like to lose weight, all that junk. And it's like, those are dreams, those are goals.
Yeah.
What is your dreams? Like, what are your dreams? And they can't answer them, and it makes them cry. And I usually cry with them, because It's so, when you're living in survival mode and scarcity, you're just trying to get through the day, and you feel and so many of our women feel guilty to have dreams. Are luxury, the dreams are luxury because, look at how blessed I am. I have this business, I have this family, I have this whatever.
Such BS.
And then they heavens forbid I ask for more, and then it's and it's killing them. And so we get them at the end. Like, we had one woman who was just like, I want to lose 15 pounds and feel lighter was her dream, inside and out. And then, like, week 4 or 5, she's like, I think I want to have a television show, talk show.
Love it.
All right, then.
Sure.
It's so exciting to see. It was always in her, but she never let herself own it.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't it interesting how we get so wrapped up in the shoulds? We start shoulding all over ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We should be happy. We should be grateful. Yeah.
Then there's the, we call it good girl training. We were trained as a very young age to be good girls. And it's like, got to be liked. Don't be too much, make sure everybody else is happy. And should,
No, it's true. My story is similar but different, in that I worked in a role in a profession that is all about the good girl stuff. It's all about saying yes. It's all about being accommodating. It's all about being a servant, arguably a slave, and not being too big, too loud, too much. And when I left that job, I decided that I was never, ever going to be that again. If I'm too big and too loud and too much, then too bad for you.
Yes. Preach.
Right? Yeah. And I think that's the problem, is that we live in these little lead line boxes that we have to fit in, and they're so uncomfortable, but we don't think we have the ability to get out. So I love that you've taken your experience and crafted something that enables other women to realize that they don't belong in that box. They never did. They never should have gotten in that. How the hell did I get in this box?
It was never their language, either. It was everybody else's. And one of my clients calls it her work trench. She was just working in that work trench, and everybody else seemed to be skipping and having a good time. And from the outside, you would never know. That's the thing, is you would never know these women were struggling as much as they are, because they're making it happen, making it happen. Yeah. And yet at night they can't sleep, or they're having stress problems, or all this different stuff. But, it doesn't feel bleeding neck to them, because, they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
This is the way it is. I've made my choices.
Totally. And we get rewarded, right? Oh, you're doing such a great job. You're so successful. Oh, look at all the things you have. Look at all the stuff you do. Look at how blah, blah. Oh, you're so sick. We get that constant feedback that, oh, actually I should feel good about. Okay. Yeah, for sure. Yep, you're right. I am successful. I should be grateful for what I have and what I've achieved in the lifestyle and blah, blah, blah. Right.
Right. And there's a big and after that, and I get to have more. And by the way, they don't say that to men. Men don't think about, okay, this is, enough, or, they're always thinking about what's next, or most of them, not, but, we don't ask those same things of, and by the way, men don't process it the same way we do. I mean, we're feeling like we should be apologizing again for our success, or making it look smaller, or not taking up too much room, or, all that stuff. I mean, I always took up a lot of room. That was never my issue, but I never wanted to be defined by my success. That was ultimately where I got.
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. We could go on all day about this, but I want to ask you other things.
Okay.
We're going to talk next about Marie's leadership style. She's taken the leadership style quiz, and you can take it too. You can find the link in the show notes, or go to the website, highvoltageleadership.ca. There's a little orange button at the top of the page that says, ironically, take the quiz, and you can do it right now. It only takes a minute. It's super straightforward, and I'm going to give you some of my top tips so you can be a more impactful and effective leader today. And compare. So, Marie, what's your leadership style? I think I know, but I'd love to hear it from you.
I don't know, but I don't know how to describe it, but I am somebody who empowers people to go do their job and trust them to do it.
Yeah.
But, and, I don't, my job is to clear the hurdles for them.
Yeah.
And if they're having problems, come to me and I'll clear the hurdles. And they need to come to me if they're having problems instead of just trying to swirl and waste time.
Yeah.
But, I hired you, you're smart, let's go do our jobs. And I'll coach, and, I'm more of a coach than I am a dictator.
Yeah.
I believe that's my style. I want to believe that's my style.
I believe that like knowing you only for a short time, but enough. I believe that is your style too. But I love that you highlighted, and I think this is important. The whole leadership style quiz is sort of based on this fundamental belief that we have to have situational leadership, that we have to be different kinds of leaders in different situations. And you articulated it, right? Sometimes we have to be a little more structured. We have to tell people what we want them to do. We have to be a little bit direct in that. We have to be able to support them and remove those roadblocks. We need to be able to delegate effectively. Actually, it's something for many of us we struggle with because we're really passionate about our businesses. And then we need to be able to coach people so they grow and develop their leadership style. So I actually really love that you kind of brought all of that in.
Yeah, I think, people that work with me would never be happy if they were somebody who needed hand holding every step of the way, because I don't have time for it. It's not my, and I think it's putting you in a box, right?
Totally.
And I think you learn by doing more than anything else.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that I'm not there with you. And
Yeah.
and also having to have some tough conversations when you waited too long to ask for help.
Yeah. And none of us like those difficult conversations. Like, let's just be clear. No one wants to have those chats on either side of the table. But it is something that we have to be able to do as leaders and business owners, is we have to be able to talk about the hard things in an open, compassionate, transformational way.
I agree.
Yeah.
And give, some of those moments in my own life have been the most transformational, and the things I look back on as important, not bad moments.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is in the delivery though, I would say, right? Like when someone came to you and said, Marie, I have to give you some feedback. There's something here that you're not seeing that I need to help you see in one way, shape, or form. Those are transformational moments.
They really are. And gosh, don't you want to know? Instead of somebody just being frustrated with you or thinking you're not capable,
Yes.
to have somebody come to you and say, here's what I'm seeing, or here's what's lacking, or however you're going to say it, that then you can either decide, like, be in a choice point of they're wrong and I want to prove them wrong because this is actually a skill of, or I don't know if that's a skill of mine. I don't know if this is the right job for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an important thing. Like, you're part of the conversation. It's data for you.
Yeah.
And it's not just criticism. It's literally helping you understand if this is the job for you, if this is where you want to be, if this is the place you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And calling out, like, where do you need help? I actually think the most important part about those conversations is that they are co-created. So if it's something that you can do well, but you're struggling, I mean, you said it, the boss's job is to remove those roadblocks. So you need to have that conversation that there's a roadblock in my way and I really need your help with it. Right? That's the only way to do it.
So often they can't see it, or, and oftentimes you've been in the world longer or in the job longer.
Yes.
Actually, it's not a roadblock at all.
That is so true. I love that. I love that you bring what your team needs and what your clients need, because we lead our clients too,
Yes,
right? Bring what our team and our clients need when they need it. And that I think is the most important part. So I love that. You've already sort of alluded to it a little bit, but maybe tell us about some times that you did make some mistakes or missteps and what you learned from those things, Marie.
Well, early on, because again, I already explained, I didn't really own that I was the boss,
Yeah.
even though it wasn't that I didn't own the CEO thing
Yeah.
and the structure
Totally.
that, and I do like a more free flowing environment. So I think that the two things that I've gotten better at that I still have to be very aware of is trust and verify.
Yes.
I wasn't verifying, and I trusted too long, and I learned some really painful lessons from that early on.
Mm.
I think also the ability to say no. That is the single biggest way I screwed up my life.
I'm raising you can't see me, but I have my hand in the air.
And somehow no was wrong. And I ended up being everything for everybody. And the truth is I was spending way too much time doing things that a lot of people could do. And very few time with the things that only I can do. And now I've gotten really good at that. Like early on in my consulting business, I was doing the billing and the finances and this, and none of that is my skill set at all. And ultimately a step back, and it's like, if I think about my hourly rate, I'm spending how many hours doing something that's taking me 15 hours. It would take somebody else an Excel spreadsheet 2 seconds.
Yes.
Excel is not my friend. And, I learned to farm out things that lots of people can do. I've also learned when I have to do certain things. And in the journey of this new business, where it's not just selling my my advice basically, and my experience and work, I'm now selling a product basically, a program, and advertising is part of it. And I don't know anything about that world. And it really helped me from my prior past to understand I don't have to become an expert at advertising, but I have to know enough to know when somebody's BSing me.
Yeah. Amen to that. Because I think that is important. You can't give up all your power. You can give up the tasks, but you still have what, as an HR design, organizational design consultant, you still have the A. The accountability still lives with you.
Yes.
You got the A.
Yes.
And you need to know enough to know when it's real and when it is garbage. Because I think that's important distinction.
It's so important. And here's the thing is, I bet this is true to every woman because we have such good intuition, but we shut it down so much. Even if you don't have the knowledge, and this is a world that you do not understand, you always know that something is wrong.
Yes.
Maybe not know what it is wrong and articulate it, but something's wrong. And so often in my previous business, like my current, mainstay business, I would shut that down early on because it was like, well, they should know. And again, it went back to that good girl thing. Well, I don't want to, they're the expert. I don't want to rock the boat. Who am I to say? And now it's like, that doesn't sound right. And, and I'll be honest, like, that doesn't sound right. Let's walk through it. And, walk me through that again, because I think we have a really good radar system that we do not listen to. And we shoo it down because we say that's not our expertise, or here I'm paying X number an hour for this expertise. Your intuition matters, and it is your company or it's your project. So speak up.
Yeah. And you know it better than anyone else. In a lot of the work that I do, coaching female leaders and then helping them design cultures and programs and processes that really support creating a high performing team. Yeah, I know a lot about people, but you're the expert at your business. So I'm giving you some ideas and some advice, but we need to create solutions that are meaningful in your organization and for the culture you want to have, because that is personal. And who's the leader you want to be in that? How are you going to show up as a CEO and inspire people? That's all about you. I'm here as a guide. I'm here to point some stuff out and show you what you're doing and maybe what you're not doing, but you're the expert at you and you're the expert at your business. That's not for me to tell you.
Right. And if your gut is telling you no, then work with the person and say, that doesn't feel right to me. How can we get the same result, but in a way that feels right to me?
Yeah. And
And ask people to be creative.
yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, if it's not a hell yes, then maybe it should be a no.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
It might all look and sound really good, but if your intuition says, I'm not sure, then it's a no.
Yeah.
And I personally am a card carrying member of the People Pleaser program.
Yes.
We meet on Wednesday, bring wine, like come be in the club with me and Marie.
Recovering people pleaser.
A recovering people pleaser. Now, I will tell you, there's still a few people in my life that I cannot say no to. I have a 97-year-old grandmother.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter what she asks me to do. It is automatically and unequivocally a yes, hands down.
It should
Right?
be.
But yeah, like if it doesn't feel like a yes, then it's a no. And it is okay to say no, even if you don't have to justify it. It is your business.
Exactly. I mean, that one of, a big part of what we teach is how to say no and set boundaries and give them words to people, because the thing is,
Yes.
when you finally get the courage to say no because somebody's taken advantage of you for so long, then it comes out in anger and it never works. And you lose your power again when it should be a really powerful moment. So to give you words to say, like, you don't need to apologize that you can't do something for somebody. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
End of statement. Don't need to say anything else.
Yeah. I remember back in the day, this is many years ago, I actually took a course and the title of it was something to the effect of How to Say No Without Using the Two Letters. And that has stuck with me over the years. I mean, it's genius, right? It's just genius.
There's also that Anne Lamott quote that's no is a complete sentence. I love
it. It sure is. It surely is. And I am, and I know you are too. I'm a yes and kind of human, right? Like I want to co-create. I want to make something beautiful. I want to brainstorm it out. Like I am awesome in collaboration like that. Like let's fire up, let's rub our brain cells together and come up with something awesome. I am all over that.
It's
But
fun.
yes, it's fun. It's exciting. It's energetic. But yes, we got to flex that muscle that allows us to say no, so that when we're in the moment when it counts the most, we can do that.
It is a gateway tool for women to learn in order to start claiming their life back.
Yeah, 100%.
Without being comfortable disappointing somebody, your life will never be your own.
Well, yeah, because if you're not comfortable disappointing someone else, guess who you are disappointing? You
every single time. And you get comfortable with it, it's not even on your radar. And here's the thing is they're probably not disappointed. They're just inconvenienced because now they got to find somebody else to do it.
Thank you for drawing that distinction, because I think that that's important, right? Like for me, it's like nobody's going to want to play with me anymore. If I say no, they're not going to want to. I'm 8 years old. I'm back out on the playground. That is not true. Yeah. Yes. Are they likely to be inconvenienced? Are they going to be put out a little bit? Maybe not. Maybe they'll just go find someone else to bug. Like, right? But we really interpret that as something deeply personal, and it isn't.
And that's how we get taken advantage of. It's the doormat coming out, because if you always say yes and you're known for that at work or at home or in your family dynamic, then they're coming to you first. They don't have to go to anybody else. Guess what? It's their problem to solve. So if you say no, or that doesn't work for me, or I can't do that, then they still got to get their problem solved. It's not your problem all of a sudden to get solved. And that's what usually happens with women.
100%.
As if it's the problem now. And so the person that's coming to you asking for something is their problem to solve. If you cannot do it or don't want to do it or shouldn't do it, all of those things, they're going to go get their problem solved because it's their problem.
Yeah, exactly. I've taken to saying that to my teenager and my young adults. That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. That's new in my lexicon, and I love it. And my kids hate it. They hate it. They absolutely can't stand it. But that's the truth of it. That's a you problem, not a me problem. And when you figure out which of those are your, like, right, which side of that you're on,
Exactly.
sky's the limit.
And
Oh,
even if it is your team or whatever, you know, it still doesn't work for you. So then there's compromise. There's so much in between yes and no.
yeah, that's a lot of ground.
You know, like let's figure out, but I have to be part of the equation instead of just saying yes all the time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, Marie, this has been, again, another absolutely fantastic conversation. If you want to join the Recovering People Pleasers Club with Marie and I, you know, just drop us a line, send us a DM, because, you know, we're coming out of it. I still every once in a while catch myself, for sure. But yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your wisdom, and like always so much humor in this. And I just love it.
Well, I love spending time with you, and I love that we're all about lifting women up. So I can talk about that forever.
Totally, like all day long. I love it. I
All day.
absolutely love it.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. And if you did enjoy today's episode, would you do me a favor? Would you give the episode a 5-star review and share it with all of your friends? I would really appreciate that. I've got a goal to impact 1,000 female founders, and with your help, we can really amplify this message. Thanks again for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me and all of my guests on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. We'll see you next Friday.